Awesome. So welcome back. I am here with my oldest son, and this is the reason I wanted to do this is because there are so many lies out there. And when I was homeschooling my boys, I was perpetuating some of those lies. We studied history, we studied his story, right? And we studied a lot of things that were beliefs, be lies, as we've come to know. And it was my own journey last year through the podcast of What on Earth is Happening. That is, I think, one of the most important bodies of work that anyone can avail themselves of, by Mark Passio. And when I first started going through the episodes, I got to episode 17, which was incredibly intense and very, very eye-opening and excruciating. And I wouldn't want anyone to go through those episodes knowing what I know now without the ability to discuss this. So I had suggested, I was getting into it and I was so excited. And so I said, to Ryder, hey, check out this podcast. And I said to my younger son, check out this podcast, hoping that they would just check it out on their own and maybe go through it and see if they were interested in it. And what I came to find out by December for myself is that I had gone down a dark place, because the world that I thought I was living in is not what it was based on a false reality. It was based on a perception that was through a lens that I believed I could just make everything great, make everything wonderful through my perception. And what I believed is everybody's just trying to do their best. And I believed good and everything. And not that that's bad, except when you think only that way and you don't look and see what's really going on, you can't do anything about the things that are not right. And that's where I found myself. So I was realizing in a way that was so painful that everything I had believed for the previous 30 plus years was based on lies, was based on a perception that I misowned and mistook for truth, because I wasn't willing to look at all of it. I only wanted to look at it through this little lens, this little perception that I had. And so I taught my boys that way and wanted to really keep things in this nice little package, and didn't realize I was doing anything wrong or bad. But the bottom line is it was ineffective once I realized that it wasn't, that there is more to the world and to what we see. And it continues to unravel and unpack as I unravel my old false information and ideas and ideologies and schisms that I was taking on as my worldview and what I believed in, what I was perpetuating in the world. And I can justify it by saying, well, I was only trying to do good, and I had no evil. I'm not like these dark occultists and doing evil. I just wanted everybody to get along and everybody do nice. But when you do that and you misdirect people by wanting to, look, everybody's just doing the best, you hinder a person's natural ability to see what's actually there. And that's where I felt I had harmed my sons. And it's why I then thought, if I could just get them to listen to Passio, maybe that would help, because then they'll have more information and understanding of the worldview and they won't be caught in the way I was. Well, great. I did with my younger son, and my younger son who just dived into Mark Passio's work. And he almost, I don't want to say this, he went so deep into it that I believe it impacted him on the other spectrum, where I'm, and we'll go into this right brain, left brain, because that's what episode 2 is all about, is that he went more dominating, more driving harder, more intense. So more almost imbalanced on the left. Whereas before I felt like he was balanced, but definitely swinging more left. And then I would work with him on working on finding a sense of that balance between care and action, right action. What happened during Christmas is we both got to episode 17 because I didn't want him to do 17 on his own. So around December, we listened to episode 17 and it was dark. And then we would continue listening, and he listened to them on high speed. I do not recommend this. I think it's a really disservice. It's a massive disservice. This specific information, I wouldn't listen on super high speed. I mean, you could listen faster, but just to get it over with, just to get through it and check it off the checklist, I do not recommend doing this work or knowledge just to get it over with or to go through it. That's why I'm so grateful that my son Ryder is willing to have these discussions with me. He's got a very focused life. And for him to do this, and I'm just going to say this straight up to you, Ryder, I am so grateful and appreciative to you and of you. And I'm honored to be your mom. And just thank you so much. The process that I saw Dax, my younger son, go through, and I don't really like mentioning his name because he's private, and I respect that. Anyway. So what I did see though is it took its toll. The way it took its toll on me, and it meaning all this information, all of this knowledge, took its toll on me in a different way. Brought me out of my right brain imbalance, and then for my younger son, took him more into an imbalance, I believe, on the left side. Now, this is me speaking my belief. I know he has a different view, and I'm saying this because as a mother and as a steward of wanting to raise healthy young men in a world that is based on so many lies, based on solipsism, based on false perceptions, I feel like it is my responsibility to ensure that these young men have correct sources of knowledge and know how to use it. I didn't use the quadrivium method when they were growing up. And so I'm hoping to correct some of that through this process. So that brings us to this. Ryder is such a good soul from the moment he was born, this pure, amazing energy, and so good. I was going to say, and he also had a mother who was so deep in low self-esteem, low self-worth, that I would do actions to help others in spite of myself, in spite of my own needs. And in episode 2 of the What on Earth is Happening, Mark Passio talks about this specifically. And it is so important and such an important concept that I am hoping that those who listen to this and who go through this work get this piece, and that I can impart this and have this discussion with my son Ryder, because I know he followed actions. And when he moved away after now he's 19 and he lives in Houston and he has his own life and he's creating, he even said to me, Ryder, you're right here. Are you willing to talk about what you said to me when you said, I am cutting that part out of me? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, before? Yeah.
Yeah, about basically doing everything, basically being a slave to others. Basically that imbalance of right brain and being a slave willingly.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was doing and that's what I was perpetuating, even though it was I'm just helping. No, I was being a slave because my self-worth was so low. And so that I would like to start with, because that's a key piece to this episode.
Okay.
So you recall when you said that to me,
Yes.
it was like a slap in the face in a good way. I needed that wake up
Yeah.
call. But it's painful as a mom. I wanted to know I did the best. I'm like, I got to get over myself. And because the only way any of us are going to get out of this is to start looking in the mirror and taking 100% responsibility for our actions. So go share with us that specific piece, what you observed with regards to the right and the left brain, and being raised in an environment where there was a massive imbalance of right brain. And then I believe with your dad, an imbalance on the other direction with the left brain.
Yeah.
The master slave piece.
So then the right brain idea of not the idea kind of like avoiding confrontation, not raising your voice, not standing up for yourself, in the and the justification that, oh well, that's turn the other cheek, can control yourself, don't get angry, don't show emotions, just be the bigger person and not react at all and just ignore it because it's just their own. That's just a very big lie that's been facilitated to keep people neutral and to keep them weak. So when it actually matters and you have to stand up for yourself, you don't, and you just accept it, and you just let, and you're just very passive.
Yeah.
And that
What's
idea, that's
interesting.
why. Yeah.
So what you're describing is a spectrum of it, but from my perspective, and I'll speak from someone who was very addicted to the right brain imbalance, which is, I was taking these notes on the right brain out of balance, like what happens: unworthiness, self-loathing, addictive tendencies, follows orders. They run away with an emotional state. My emotional
Right.
states would go extreme. A willing slave tendency. That is where the right brain is operating from fear and cannot discern the truth. Right. And I got to practicing being able to discern only through a specific lens of falsity, of a religion that I was so dogmatically, talk about order follower. I was completely that order follower. So everything went through there. You don't have to suppress yawn. It's good.
No, I just didn't want to. I didn't want to. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Well, so how, from your perspective now, after listening to episode 2, and how this whole episode is about lies, the lie that's perpetuated, but it starts with our brain. So if our brains are already damaged, you talked about from I was going to say formaldehyde, yeah, fluoride in the water that creates calcification, and the enormous amount that fluoride is even still in any water supply anywhere should be an absolute criminal, punishable, absolutely, yeah.
Well, who's going to punish them? That's a bad idea. That's the wrong idea right there. No one is going to punish them. The people the people who you would think should punish them aren't going to, because they're also running by it. So you can't use that because that doesn't exist. There's no punishment.
So held accountable then. How about that?
By who?
Right. By those that are waking up and saying no more, and you are responsible, and there's restitution. Now you can go and make restitution. It's a good question. I don't know. I don't have the answer there for sure.
Right. And that's being passive there. You're just saying that it should happen, but there's no actual.
Well, I am taking action in this town.
Yeah,
no, I mean in this specific, because I thought about it, it's like, oh well, I just saw the massive sign that says in this little town in Tennessee, there's fluoride put in the water. And when I saw that, I'm like, that is the public notice that they put up, and they justify, make it okay. Are they insane? Well, here I am, blah, 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 getting into my, what's the action I'm going to take? Okay, I'm going to have to go find who is in charge of that? Who's responsible for pushing the button, for actually, oh, well, it's the city council. City council? I was like, Yeah, I know this gets
Yeah.
convoluted. So, but the bottom line is there has to be something that we can do, and we'll go back to the thing that we, the number one thing that we can do, the number one thing is avail ourselves of the true knowledge, because that's what's so important is we need to know. Because yes, so first I need to know, and then I need to take the action. Yes. Okay,
Yes.
and I'm getting into my lecture, but I really want to talk to you about, so if you were to go through your top 3 takeaways from episode 2, what would they be?
First off, understanding the difference between being emotional in a moment and actually having an imbalance between one of the sides of the brains, because it's okay to get pissed off or to get angry or to fight, and it's okay to be more passive and to let like sometimes it's okay for a side to do more than the other, as long as the pineal gland, or the CEO as he put it, is still in charge and you're not just being controlled by one side or the other. It's okay to have one part be more active. It's just the balance that is important, because I mean, I don't really need the right side of my brain if I'm doing an intensive workout. I want more heat, more energy, right? More like more pushing, more fight. So
Mm.
I can actually like get in there and like push myself more. I don't need the right side of my brain for that. I can use it after if I'm like writing down, or if I'm doing a lesson, I'll use that. And then I'll record the lesson, write down my notes. That's when I can just use the right side of the brain. But then
Mm-hmm.
after the workout, right, I don't need the left side anymore, and I'll let it relax.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I'm training, I'll use both. I'll use a mix because I need to think about things. I need to come up with ideas, create, and understand. But I also need to have my body being pushed and use the emotion, right? If I didn't get emotional over things, then I'm just wasting my time because I'm not actually in it all the way. Because emotions are human. And if you're not using the emotions, then clearly it's not taking, like, you're not putting everything in when you could be. And I'm not saying like getting mad all the time or being, but like even just happy or feeling something from it is important.
Mm-hmm.
Focus isn't necessarily an emotion, but that could be the emotional state that you need. Like if you're putting the energy in to be focused, that's still more important than just not feeling anything at all or not caring. Because if you don't care, then well, there's the issue right there. You're not caring, so you're not able to get anything out of anything you're doing. And you can put that in anything.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just doing something for the sake of doing it, then you're not going to actually get anything done. And the issue is that a lot of people do that anyway, which is why the standard has gone so far down in a lot of aspects of life, which is why people can get away with it now in anything.
You mean in
Like
taking action, of any action?
of any action and anything,
I'm wondering how.
like
And
just
this,
in work, right? If somebody is working and they're not, and they're like just doing it for the sake of doing it just to get a paycheck or whatever, but they don't care, they're not putting any effort in, because so many people are doing that, the standard goes down,
oh, right.
and then
Yeah.
and that's why people get away with it now.
So that's where this, to me, is the imbalance. Because if someone were balanced,
They would be able to
they
put
would be,
emotion in, they'd be able to put focus, they would be able
they
to
would also,
control it.
they would also
They would
be
be
in
in,
alignment.
yeah,
Every action would be in alignment with right thinking, right? There would be correct action, correct aligned thinking,
mm-hmm.
and then um, then the emotion and intuitive creative ability would come into harmony so that they could create an ever higher result, ever higher product, and ever, this is where
Yeah,
innovation and
trying to be better and make everything, and doing it for the sake of improve, for the sake of personal integrity, of being proud of your work.
yeah, I think you being an athlete and that always being something that um,
Yeah, pushing to always be better
I,
is, and that's what I can do in any aspect of life, no matter what I'm doing, even the
right,
small
because
things.
that's the one thing I've known since you, well, even since you were born, and this energy about you was a visionary. You could see the vision and hold a vision, which was
Yeah.
is really incredible. What do you think in regards to there's a couple pieces that
Yeah.
there's
Very
a
sore.
couple. I'm sure you are. So the thing that comes up a lot with regards to uh, well, there's so many things that. Okay, so let's go into this. Let's go into the reptile brain because you mentioned the CEO level. So he talks
Mhm.
that part of the higher level brain.
Right.
And what is that to you versus the reptile brain? How does that show up in your life?
The reptile brain shows up when I'm doing very, there's a specific type of training that I'll do that it'll show up a lot more when I will actively seek out the things that I'm not as good at or that I'm bad at against someone's better actions. And it'll be annoying because I know 100% that I'm going to get hit or that I'm going to lose a point, but in the long run, it's better for me. So it's using both of them. It's
So
using the higher
then you
end
would.
brain. It's the
Mhm.
higher end brain to put myself in a situation where the reptile brain is going to take over because I know I'm going to get scored on my 4 or 5 times, but I'll have a better idea of how to do it next time. But in the moment, it's going to suck. I'm going
Mm.
to hate it. So that's using both. I'm putting myself in a situation where I know that I'm going to get angry or annoyed because
So that's a reactionary. Being angry or annoyed
you're
is part of. You think
yes,
that's
that's the
reptilian?
it's yes because
Okay.
it's reacting to the moment instantly. Because I mean,
Hmm.
like you can think about
I
it, right?
gotcha.
It's a small little thing. I'm just getting hit, very small little place,
Hmm.
maybe like 30 seconds of time, and then instantly reacting and then making a big deal about it. To myself, obviously, I don't affect others with that. It's just myself,
Yeah,
and
that's an
then
interesting.
yeah.
So the practice of fencing. I know when I took the fencing introduction at Orion,
Hmm.
and uh, I was completely in flee constant.
Yeah.
When we were doing the creative stuff, it was fun. Beep beep beep, fun,
Well,
super fun. But
that's the
then
two
they
options.
were
You'll always see fight
attacking.
or flight.
Mm.
There's
Are
always
they?
with all the beginners,
Uh,
they fall into one category. You fight or you flee. That's the easiest and most, and it'll
mm,
depend entirely, and you can instantly see from that point what their main style is, what they're going to be
mm,
higher end, which isn't a bad thing. You just build
mhm,
around the strength, but there's either kids who will just stand there or run away or who
mm.
instantly go off the and charge towards their
So
opponent.
if they're standing there, they're frozen.
Yes, and flee. And then
And
they'll
I
go backwards.
wonder, so this is interesting because it would behoove any fencer, any mother or father of fencers to really nourish the brain, nourish
Mhm.
their brain because it actually does require so much brain power.
Right. Well, it's not just that. It's also like most fencers are doing it for a specific reason to like not necessarily because they just enjoy it, but because they want to go to a college or they want to get good at it or whatever.
So they're under
And
enormous stress then.
right, so
They're
they need
already
to
in a state
be
of stress.
correct, and they need to have some form of not cool down, but some way of taking control of their own brain instead of
Yeah,
just doing it because I need to just hustle it out and get it done. Like I
right.
need to do this and like always having a guillotine over their neck.
Yeah, this is really interesting because I can see, I know for me and the work that I do as a coach to high performers, there's I mean they're usually high performers in a business sense, right? High stakes. The recovery is so essential because you're depleting yourself when you're running in that high cortisol because cortisol is running in your system, and
Mhm.
that's what's significantly messing with the brain. Not messing with it, it's essentially sending that all of the cortisol is going through so it makes you run or
Yeah.
fight, right? And then if you don't run or fight, you just sit there and suck it up, it's stuck in your body, which then
Mhm.
creates the cycle of going into lower, other pieces. The adrenals get tired because the adrenals are the recovery, right? And if you
Right.
don't spend the
Yes.
time recovering, that's why your ratio of work is what? Isn't your ratio 3 times to the one work to 3 times recovery? Is that what you do? Or you're
The
like
other
work,
way.
work, 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 work? Or do you balance it one-on-one, work, recovery with the same amount of time?
Oh, with recovery time, like
Yeah,
specifically just time.
like literally recovery. Yeah. Resetting the nervous system so that
I
you can
use.
come
I
back
mean,
stronger.
probably 2 to 1 work to recovery.
2 work to 1 recovery.
Yes, I mean unless you're
That's
including
interesting.
sleep, unless it's way
Yeah,
more
well,
than
sleep
in that
is
case.
really important too,
If
but not
that's
necessarily time. It's got to balance it out, right?
right, well, in that then it's definitely even that case. Because I'll work
Yeah.
out for like an hour and a half to 2 hours in the morning. Then I'll do the same in the afternoon, and then I'll do my class in advance,
And are
and
you
then I'll sleep
getting
and
deep
roll.
recovery?
Well, I'm always stretching and rolling after.
But is that deep recovery, right?
For
So
me,
that's what
yes,
you have to
because
find
that
out.
loosens up. Yeah, because that loosens up everything and makes it so they're not going to tense up.
So I'd
Whenever
also
I
look at how it recovers your brain, because this is, I mean, this is a huge factor now that we know the right and left brain. We know that the brain is a huge factor in the function of your body.
yeah,
So
then
let's talk
so
about
yeah,
let's talk about the imbalances again, and
okay,
specifically go into the left brain. Left brain imbalances are to be the aggressor. They're too aggressive. They're the dominator. This creates control in other people. They want to control other people. They want to be the master, that dominator. Um, with regards to that, and that's an imbalance, and the way that the brain is functioning with regards to you specifically for sports. How do you, because you need a level of left brain imbalance, you need a high level of domination
right.
in to win your tournament. Is that the case?
I don't need to like be a master of somebody or
Mm.
necessarily like it's less. It's more using the intensity to push yourself to beat them and be better instead of trying to dominate them or make them less.
To me, that's a really healthy way to think, but I wonder if there are others that actually fence, and I've seen this, that they
Yeah,
fence in
definitely.
a dominating way, in a way to create subservient, like, to
Yeah,
really push someone
of
down.
course. I mean,
Um,
it depends on who they are and what their backgrounds are. I mean,
yeah.
if it's an issue with there, that's obviously going to be an issue anywhere else in their life.
Hmm.
It's just where they can. It's where they're able to, even if it's not as prevalent in other aspects, it's going to be something that you can easily look out for. And you can see it. I mean, it's different with other sports because they're a little bit more like more physical sports, like more physical contact sports. Like football, obviously, you have a lot more because you're actually trying to physically, put people down.
Yeah, talk about something that damages the the cortex, the
Well, of
brain,
course,
the
yeah,
brain stems, the whole
it's
the
known.
whole. Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
that's, then you just have
Or
you
like
have the whole thing.
like hockey or basketball, where there's more mental, like talking to each other, trash talk or fighting or whatever.
Yeah,
So you don't.
to me, those are perfect examples of sports that are left brain dominant.
Right, exactly. And there's plenty of room to be creative and to come up with ideas and plays, but a lot of it is just be faster, stronger, and better than them, like just more powerful than them
Hmm.
instead of thinking or
Right.
like trying to come up with a
Well,
solution or
so
whatever.
analytical thought is a left brain function. You're not going to do much analytical thinking, or well, maybe win. This is how do
Right.
I
It's
win? How
more
do I?
like judo and like those sports or like wrestling kind of because boxing you're just trying to be stronger and beat them up, but in judo you have to actually like you're right, you're both holding on to each other, you're both trying to figure, or like in wrestling, you're trying to find an opening. Like yes, you're just trying to physically overpower them, but a lot of the time you're evenly matched size wise, so you have to come up with a solution to get right, to find a mistake and to abuse the mistake to find a win, instead of just like picking them up and slamming them on the ground.
Mhm.
If you can't do that, then obviously you have to use more brain power, more thinking power, even though it's still a very physical sport, still very left brain.
Well, what's interesting is anytime I would watch live tournaments and see, you could see the difference in the energy of somebody who is in an imbalanced brain state. Let's take Lee Kiefer for example. She is so balanced, in my
Yeah.
opinion. And when I observe her, even when we had the Olympics, and she just, I mean, it was, yes, you could see it coming up, but there was a shift. Somehow she definitely had a way to come into balance in her brain.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's the skill. I don't know. I mean, that's just to me really uh, what would be amazing if we could have more humans, more men and women, more youth having this skill to be able to balance and be in harmony with the left and right brain. And so that
Mm-hmm.
whatever your actions are, they are in alignment. And especially when you're in a high stakes game, or let's say a high stakes, anything. Could you imagine if there is that understanding, and then on top of that, then you have the length of time and the skills. I mean, clearly that's what differentiates her. Is she's got length of time, skill, and then
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
The experience.
yeah. But one of the things that I was going to say is I remember seeing in the world's judo, same thing. The woman who won silver in the world veterans went out there, and you could feel the difference in there was a balance versus someone who's coming back in a way that's fight or flight, defensive wise. And then when there were two men that we knew would go out and fight, and you could just tell their energy was in reptilian, the R complex, the reptilian part of the brain, for one,
Yeah.
and the other one was more balanced. So, gosh, it's this is such an interesting topic, and I think to have the knowledge of this, just the brain function, just the brain, how your brain functions, is so important. Would you agree?
Yes.
As far as an athlete, even being an
I mean,
athlete.
you need to understand how to manipulate the parts that are like manipulating you or controlling you, so you can use them to your advantage. Otherwise, you're just going to be kind of a victim,
So
in a
it's really
sense, like a
interesting you
victim
say
mindset.
that. So the terminology you just used, a
I
way
have
to
no issue with the
manipulate
term
that.
manipulate, because that's something where, right, I manipulate the bout, I manipulate what I'm
Mhm.
doing. It's not a bad thing. Because it's not controlling somebody. That's not what it means.
No,
Manipulating
no, I'm not
is,
saying not, but
no, no,
it's
I know. I'm just
interesting
saying,
that
like,
you would choose that
I
because
like that word because it's the way it is good, because because you're not like brute forcing it. You're finding a way to make it like to make it favorable for you and to be in a position that you want. That's what manipulate means.
for sure in the
Like to
game that
me,
you're playing, absolutely you want to win.
right?
That's the game you're playing. And uh, I think that if we look then at the world as a playing field, that there are those that are playing a game to
Yes,
manipulate everyone
right.
that's underneath them, because
The
they
people who
want
put
to play that
themselves, yeah.
master, right?
Hmm.
The people that put themselves under. Is that what you
Like
said?
if they're not willing to actually cut the strings off and just be the puppet anyway, it's very easy to manipulate those people because they're thinking that it's their own decision.
Right.
Because there's
And
a lot of people who, whether they would admit it or not, choose to be beneath others.
that's where this whole concept comes in of the imbalance of the brain. So the
Yes.
first thing is to know, to know and to understand, and to be willing to know that there is something to know, that there is an actual
Right.
truth that you can know. And my money is all in on uh, that's silly, stupid, actually, a stupid analogy, but I'm all in on Passio right now, Mark Passio.
Well, that's an issue because that's one of the things you should have learned already is like that's what he said in his first episode and what he said in his natural law seminar, right? Don't take it at face. Don't take it and just accept it. You have to actually critically think for yourself.
Well, that's
You
what I'm
can't go
trying
in
to
all
do.
the way
You
on
mean his
anything, though.
information? No, but
No, that's what he
you're
said
right.
about it.
You're
You're right.
right.
If you go all in on anything just because it sounds good, that's just the same thing as being manipulated right there. Because
Yeah.
you're flowing from one to the next, back
Good
and
point.
forth. You
Fair
like
point.
this, so you go over here. You like this, you go all the way over here.
I don't think
Because
I'm
it's
doing
keeping you
so much
distraction. It's keeping it. Now, obviously,
distracted
it's
from what?
different from finding your true purpose and being aligned. If you were aligned, you could take it and assist it and find the ways that it helps you instead of you doing it all the way just so you can gather all this information and just go all the way like, oh, this is perfect. I'm going to listen to all of this stuff. This is exactly how I'm going to base my life by. Everything's changed by this, and
Not
that's
so
how
much
you.
based on my life. Go ahead. Go ahead. I want to hear it.
When you said that, like I haven't listened to it yet, but I know for myself it's not going to affect me anywhere near as much as it affected you, like the episode 17, because I have my straight path. So no matter what information I hear, I will listen to it. I will respond to it accordingly, but I'm only going to take the information and care about the information that could help me or help others or that is actually going to affect me at all. Just
Mhm.
because I hear a bunch of things about how this is completely different than what I believe, that's not going to change anything at all.
Yeah.
And if words from one person are enough to do that, then there you go. That's why people are in a state that they're always being manipulated to do anything else, then to do things that they shouldn't be doing, to go out and
So
get
I
cigarettes, to
just want to be
smoke, to drink,
clear
whatever.
on this. It's specifically that I closed my, I compartmentalized
Right.
my life
From
because
everybody
I didn't
else's.
want to look at the bad. So I
Yeah.
compartmentalized and put away all of these negative actions, bad things, bad people, and put those away, and so that I could function, honestly, so that I could
Right.
function and do what I wanted to do, which was to be a great mom and to raise my boys.
Yeah.
And doing that all the while having stress around security and safety and all of that, and still somehow function with what I could, with what I was trying to function with in this world that's constantly bombarding us with fear mongering, enormous amounts of
Right.
stress of where am I going to get enough money to pay the rent? How am I going to pay these bills? Chronically pounding us down on that. I think your father and I definitely were intentional, him in his own way and me in my imbalanced right brain way, of protecting you guys as
Mm-hmm.
much as we could, right? Which
Right. But it was the difference because you didn't like shelter us so much. Like you didn't keep, because you still let us explore and create and kind of, have access to that. And I guess that's one, I
with
guess,
absolutely
justification for
within a
movies and whatnot
safe
is the action stuff.
space.
Right.
That
Yeah, within a
that
safe space.
But I didn't understand. I still was in a state of fear, of because I wanted to protect you. I wanted to protect and raise healthy boys. That's why I didn't send you to a public school, because I saw what was going on there. You know, that's why I chose not to have you guys jabbed. That's why I chose to have you both born at home in a safe
Right.
environment around safe people, instead of me being termed a geriatric pregnancy, all of these things. But
Exactly.
there was a part that was enough of a higher, it wasn't even from an executive brain, it was from an intuitive place. So it was that higher place of my right side of my brain, and I will stand
Right.
up for
No,
my right.
absolutely.
Even
That's because you put us in a position where we were able to flourish earlier. That's why in the later aspects now we are able to but if I am able to critically think for every action that I want to do or any information that I receive. Because earlier you put us in that position of learning, right? The scholar phase,
to be able
the
to see
exploration
without.
phase. Correct.
See, this is what I hope, but sometimes I feel like there is a little bit of still,
Shelter, like
that I want to protect you
blind
guys, that
spots.
I want to make sure you have the right information. That's why I'm,
Yeah. Well,
okay, I
you
am
give it. The
pushing
thing
Passio. I'm
is,
pushing
the good
that you,
news is I am at a point where if I don't want to, I'm not going to do it, and
right.
it's a choice not to do it.
Yeah,
But
I
you
know.
can still give it to me, and if I listen to it, then it's going to be more beneficial. That's how it is. Even like even before, like at home, right? I would do if you wanted to share information with us. I mean, whether I took it or not was entirely dependent on if it was actually something that I was listening to,
Yeah.
like something that was actually going to help me. And most of it did, and most of it was. And I remember most, right, like I retained the information. It didn't just go in one ear and out the other.
Yeah, I think because I had the wherewithal to be present and to really work with
Yes.
you to be present in each moment and not be having it, um, filling you with a bunch of facts, filling you with a bunch of data, more information, that more, more information, which you can't even think with and process. Um, and I think that that's where now I'm seeing it, listening to uh, the podcasts again, and just seeing where the addictive behavior of someone like my thousands and thousands of books, right? 3,000 books I let go of in May before we when we moved. When
Mm-hmm.
Dax and I moved, 3,000 books. Can you imagine? And I wanted them. It's like even now I'll look at the books and I don't want to get rid of the
Emptiness.
last 500 books I have.
Right.
Why? Because but I'm seeing it as an addictive behavior, not that I need that information. Um, and so now what I'd rather do, I think, is go a little bit deeper, higher quality of knowledge, and then also take more time to fully process and integrate to see how I can apply. Because I'm sitting here almost 56 and going, whoa, this is my life. This is what I've created. This is a disappointment. I don't know what that's about, because that's my own work that I'm going to have to do. My best thing is you and Dax, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me. But that's a great legacy.
But that's
But
not your life because you're still living your life and you still have a lot of life left. So
that's
you
where
both
I
have
need to
to.
step up and shift. And so that's where, to me now, this whole paradigm shift, and studying the work from what on earth is happening, and even going into, so Mark Passio has what's called the ARC, which is the, something knowledge. So he's all about knowledge and knowledge share.
Mm-hmm.
And if I spent the rest of my life just studying the stuff that's on the arc, I have enough. I don't, that will keep
Well,
me
yeah,
busy, type of
yeah.
thing. So now it is that I
Why
want
though? For the sake of just being busy, to have having something that
no,
you feel like has
no,
a purpose, then
no.
you have to make sure that your reasoning is.
I mean, these are really very important questions, and I appreciate that you're asking them. And I think, um, one of the things that I think he did say it in this podcast episode is that he talked about, um, he was actually talking about it when he was introducing the Tesla summit. He was there with his girlfriend or his wife at an event for Tesla, and he went into a bar because they got there early, and there was somebody said at the bar, and they were talking about free energy, and he says, be
Yeah, I remember
amazing if
that.
there was free energy. And the guy at the bar said, um, because of the oil, right? So we know that the Middle East, their whole economy is built on oil, and that's how they keep that power differential, those
Hmm.
that have and those that have not. And that's the same thing that's here in the United States or anywhere. It's that power differential. How is power? It's knowledge differential. Folks have knowledge and others don't. And from my viewpoint at this is what I know, and I think that this is a generational thing. The thing that I see that's different with my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, is that she had so much knowledge. She didn't take action, though. She didn't do anything. Not only that, she didn't even share it with her son, her three sons. She didn't even communicate and ensure that they had the knowledge that she had so that they could do something better in their life. So for
Yes,
me,
because she
that's
got
what this is about.
knowledge. She got knowledge just to control and just to have it over others because she
Well, she
wanted to
didn't control
feel,
anybody else. She just
not
stayed in her own
control, but to
cocoon.
feel that, exactly, to feel that she was better than others.
I don't know that
Because
she did it
maybe
to
it's
feel
because
better
the
than
time that
others.
she
I
came.
think I don't know that it was to dominate.
I mean,
And certainly that's not
it's
what I feel. So I don't want to have information to dominate over others. I want to have
well, no,
information
no,
so
no,
that I
not to
can help.
dominate, but well, yeah, of course, but that's different reasons. But I'm saying because I know there are some people for sure who have a bunch of information because they want to feel like they're smarter than other people, whether they say it or not. They just want to have that, so they have that feeling on the inside, so they can feel like, well, I'm smarter than you anyway, so I'm right anyway. So if there's ever an argument, it's like, oh, I'm smarter, I'm still better no matter what because they're not confident in
So
themselves.
that whole thing, I've come to terms with a long time ago. I don't give a crap about being right. I want to do what's effective. And to me, what's effective
Right,
is
right.
having a planet where we are able to be free. And
Hmm.
what does that mean? We are able to know that we can live a life if we want to go and forage our food, or we have a way to get food. It's not just that we have to have money that goes through this whole system. That's another thing. On episode 2, he talked a lot about the Fed. I'm really curious. Ryder, I had the Tragedy and Hope book right back here, and the Creature from Jekyll Island. We did the Cliff Notes of Tragedy and Hope.
Yeah.
Remember that when we were reading that?
Didn't we finish the whole, or what was the documentary that we did that time as well?
So we did multiple. We did Europa. We did James
Europe, yeah.
Corbett's documentaries on World War I and the whole components with regards to what J.P. Morgan and the Rothschilds were doing, the banking system when they were developing and creating this whole concept, that construct that now we know as the Fed, the Federal Reserve, which is the control of the banking, control of the money, control of the monetary. So that whole piece, I think that is something that is, I didn't know enough about it. So when did we do it? Through sometime during the convid stuff that was completely convoluted, right? So the pandemic situation that occurred, that's when I found Tragedy and Hope. Then I got the Cliff Notes, and that's when I started educating us because I knew something
Mhm.
was wrong. I was like, okay, what's their long game? Oh, their long game is to get us all on a uh, uh, digital currency that's a central bank. That so there's one central that worldwide, and that's the whole agenda. So the long game for me wanting to listen to the Mark Passio podcasts, what on earth is happening, is to understand this freaking long game. Someone else has this all planned out. I've been a peon. I've been the non-player character. I don't want that. I don't want that for you guys. I don't want that for anyone. And so that's why I'm speaking up. The other thing, he talked about this in this episode 2 when he talks about how the dark occultists say what their belief is of those who believe in solipsism, that there is no truth. That is the belief. Solipsism is the belief that there is no truth. It's only what you perceive to believe is true. So your perception is what's true, and that there is no objective truth or reality. And so he talks about how you're known as the dead,
Yeah.
unbegun, uninitiated, and so your worldview is I mean, it's the NPCs. It's that's what knowing what I know now, I want to make damn sure you and your brother and anyone else who I can reach out to, but specifically you and your brother because you're the future,
Hmm.
that you know this and you understand this.
Right. And not just knowing and understand, but also understanding how to take action, which is important as well.
So,
Or knowing
what's
that you
the
need to take
action?
action. Depends on what your goal is. If the goal is to help spread, then you have to. I mean, then it would be beneficial for people to do like the speaking classes, right? Like the Toastmasters. I mean, for me, it didn't matter because I kind of have a confident enough way of speaking to people. But helping educate is important for sure. But also finding a way of like just keeping yourself not free per se, like not because it's not like you necessarily need to be free, but keeping your mind open and keeping your path in mind no matter what is the first important action. I mean, if everybody did that, then it would be a very different world, and you wouldn't even need to like talk to others or communicate with others, right? If everyone was on their straight path, that would be the best thing first. That'd be the ideal, because then when people are having conversations, it's only from a place of what's the best way to further my straight line, like to further my path, to further my goal, to get to where I want to be, instead of a place of, what can I get from you? What can you give to me? Or in the other case, right, in the other extreme, what can I give to you? What can I like do for you? Like what position, like, yeah, and like kind of instead of thinking, what can someone get out of it more? How can we both benefit from this? I think that's an important action right there. Is like just kind of finding the way to help spread and help get people back on target, right? Back on their straight. Like, and I think that's a big issue. Is a lot of people don't have any idea, even if they took like a week, they couldn't find any goal or any line to like any big mountain, right? A lot of people probably couldn't do that.
You mean in terms of, uh,
In
yeah.
terms of their purpose, their greater purpose, or
Uh,
their,
well, this is what's really
yeah.
sad is when I hear like the Harari or the whatever that guy, oh, that good Great Reset guy, Klaus Schwab, and that those nincompoops say about the useless eaters, right? I think so many have that fundamentally that's where their belief is they believe that there are useless eaters. So from their mind, they are in that complete left brain imbalance where they're dominators. And so anything outside of them or those lower are should be slaves and or should be beneath them. And they're considered the useless eaters. So they should own nothing and be happy and but not be happy because they're basically going to put them into a video whatever the um, virtual reality video games are to escape. And so they have it's like from Thomas More. You read this Utopia.
Hmm.
First you make the slave, then you punish them. So you make them poor, you make them be impoverished, and then
Right.
you punish them for revolting, or you punish them for thieving because that's the only way they can survive. So this is
Yeah.
the
And then you can
this is
also reward them and then keep yourself in total control whenever you need to make them
yeah,
feel quote unquote happy.
yeah. I
And then
mean,
it's
these are
this
the kinds
cycle.
of
Yeah.
things. It's like if I had to do it again and I were homeschooling you guys again from right today, and you were born uh, let's say you were 5 or 6 years old, this is no, actually, even before when you were in the womb, I would be so meticulous with what I allowed, because your
Yeah.
formative years are those first 7. So I'd be so meticulous, and I would really work to help you master the highest level of your chief executive officer brain, as well as your intuition, as well as your creativity. And everything I would have done would have been to create a sense of balance of the brain. And then I would have done everything I could to have protected your brain as it was developing with the best foods ever.
Yeah.
I would have ensured that you had no toxic chemicals, sugar that is completely destructive to the brain. We know it's like a neurotoxin.
Yeah.
There's just so many things now seeing that I would have done differently. And I hope that
I mean, I think you did a pretty damn good job.
I
And
appreciate that.
obviously, you can always do something. The thing is, you'll always be able to do something. Like you always think about something different.
Yeah, I'm not
Because that's how
saying this
the.
from a place of regret. I'm
No, no,
saying
I
this
know. I'm
from
saying it's just
mentoring, like for
yes.
you.
Well, that's always going to happen. That's always going to be there. Just the way that the human brain works, right? Think about patterns, right? If you're doing the same workout every single day, your brain's eventually going to find the easiest and laziest way to do it,
Yeah,
and then you're going to have to change it if you want to actually like get more growth.
yeah.
Same thing with that, right? Like in the moment, that's what you needed, and then as you go longer, you can think about, okay, well, I would have done this differently, because you also don't have the. I mean, even right now, there's going to be things that you think you could have done differently that I think I could have done differently,
Well, I
but
think so. So you're talking about reviewing, and that's an
right,
effective thing. I think that's an
it's a very
effective
effective
thing,
thing to
and to be
review
able
in
to
the
have
past
the
to help you in the
conversation,
future.
right, without being
Yes,
in a regretful mode.
yes,
So
that's the most important thing is there's no regret at all.
because I had you guys later in life, it's not like you were ready for grandchildren or whatever. But a lot of my friends that I went to high school with have grandchildren now, right? They're
Well, I mean,
56 and they're
yeah,
like,
if that's their
so maybe that's
purpose, I
what's
guess.
energy. Not, no, I'm just saying like, okay, well,
The thing is,
to,
having a family is also just an idea that's. I mean, it's of course not as pushed as much now. It's more like, oh yeah, you can be whatever you want, you can live whatever you want, but that's also a completely different thing. That's a job at the start, right? Like having a family, providing for it. That's its own kind of thing, right? There's not really room
but
for
see,
your
I
own
have a
self
different
expression.
viewpoint. I think that's
Well,
important.
it's
But
important to, of course, that's important. That's necessary. But I'm not going to worry about that for another like 4 or 5 years because I
right.
have
I
4 or 5 years
think
at least
for
to
sure.
compete all the time or to find my own self expression.
I mean, even 10 years. You're 19. I think,
Right.
the brain's not even fully developed as
That
an
doesn't even
adult brain
matter
until
too
you're
much.
28.
That I
I'm
hear people say that
saying,
all the time. That's
I think we need more families. We need
what, yeah, that's
more
important, but not early.
connection.
Because if you do it early, then you're going to be in a position where you don't know, and then you have
I
because you
mean,
have
for us, I mean, even to me, this is family. And,
yes, this
and
is of course, but
there's a part of me that wants to let you go and, have
because
your own
you
wings.
had us in later in life, I'll say, right? You had different ideas and you had already had enough experience to help shape how you were going to raise us. Having kids early isn't going to help
I was
anything
kind of
if, yeah, but okay, think about how stupid you were when you were my age. What if you'd had us when you were
I
like
was actually
25,
smarter when I
when
got
you went to New
dumber.
York and did
Now I was smarter I mean, a little bit. I got more
different? Yeah,
confused is what happened is I just got more confused and I
right.
buried a
And
lot of stuff and then
but because of that, you were
went
able to put
totally
us
imbalanced.
right. But then you decided that you were like, oh, I need to go against that and not let that happen when you raised us. Who knows? Maybe it would have been
Oh
different.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. No, that's
having kids when
exactly
you're
right.
young is stupid because you haven't even learned yourself. You haven't even like discovered yourself. You haven't lived enough of a life yourself. You're barely being alone, right? Obviously everyone's experience is different, but how are you going to raise somebody if you haven't even been fully raised yourself, if you can't even raise yourself, basically.
This is a big
Like
topic.
if you
This is
haven't
right.
been,
Then the government will raise them for you.
right, or the TVs, or
Which
the
is
programs, or whatever's
right.
there.
Right.
And that's why it's ridiculous. If you can't actually raise something, if you can't raise yourself first, then there's no reason for you to raise another person.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a waste of time. Because it's just going to be another meat glob who just follows the same set out path for them already.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, we've come to the top of the hour.
Okay.
Episode 2. Your number one takeaway that you feel like you can actually apply, and how you'll apply it.
To make sure that I'm never in a Milgram experiment.
Ooh.
To make sure that I'm never, to make sure that I'm never in a position where, like, am I doing this because it's my decision, or because I'm being told to by somebody of authority?
Yeah, because remember, you're responsible for your actions. Remember that, people, you're responsible for your actions. So think about your actions. Just because somebody's told you to do it, you are the one that needs to actually think it through. Because ultimately you are responsible for every action. I don't care whether it's a coach that says it to you. I don't care whether it's your boss. It doesn't matter. You are responsible for your actions. That is crucial. The Milgram. At first I thought it was the Milburn. And then when I looked into it, it was the Milgram. That's horrible. But isn't that's sick of what that humans would actually do that? And it's interesting what that is, the experiment is in a nutshell.
Sure. So they take two people who don't know each other or do know each other. They did two.
It's irrelevant, isn't it? Crazy.
Right, it is relevant. And they would have them answer questions, like pre-written questions, and one person, the person asking the questions, would have a button to shock the other person if they answered incorrectly. The answers, if they were incorrect or not, were based on a piece of paper given to the answerer. So it was set up in a way where they were going to fail in some of the questions. They were going to answer incorrectly. And also because it was like a memory test. It was facaded as a way to improve memory. So like you would be given a list of things, and then you had to answer that the exact same order, or you would get a shock, a high voltage shock. And each time you got it wrong, it would get worse and worse and worse. And they had an actor who acted like they were in immense pain and wanted to stop the entire time.
Yeah.
No one was getting shocked in this case, but
the person didn't know it. They didn't know it. The thing that really is disturbing is this is something that was done at Yale, and the kind of sick things that go on at Harvard and Yale and Stanford, the kind of tests that they do on animals. And by the way, when I was reading this, they consider the human an animal. They literally said the human animal, right? Animals.
I mean,
and
of course
human
they are. They're just a bunch of weird.
What the hell are we?
Well, most of those people are maladjusted.
Left-brainers? Is this
not even left-brainers. They're just a bunch of just kind of freaks in a way, because they're just kind of disgusting, because that's how they were raised from the start, to be some analytical thinker and just fulfill a purpose, right? Like, oh, you're going to be a lawyer. All right, your path is artificially laid out for you before you're born. Like, oh, as soon as you're born, okay, this is what the parents want them to do. This is where you're going to go as a kid.
See, I hear this and I say, I believe in humanity.
Well, yeah, of course.
But I believe in, I don't want to say even humanity. I believe in the spirit and the soul. And I believe that we can raise higher and we can go higher.
Well, yeah, of course.
That's why
it's just different.
I've always wanted to, compartmentalize. I believe in the good. I want to, and to me, what happened and why, you were saying earlier on of me getting addicted to now this is the next information. First, I was all in on Scientology and highest level training.
You have to be separate. You have to be separate from it. You cannot, you have to have
mainly
information
ultimately because I wanted to help.
Well, yeah, but that's still okay. Well, I mean, a lot of people want to help, and what? But
it was from a duty. Yeah.
What if you want to help Dax do something with engineering? You have no idea what you're going to do. You're going to get yourself hurt. You might get him hurt. You might mess something up, right? What
To help him
if
with engineering? No, I'd find a more effective way to help him, right?
Right, exactly. But you still want to help. So what if you just start overstepping? What if I want to, right, like somebody who doesn't know what they're doing at a horse ranch? I want to help a lot, but I
Yeah.
don't know what I'm doing, so I'm going to get injured, and I'm going to injure the animal, and then it's just going to be negative for everything. Right? Think about activists who are like, oh, I want to help these animals, and then they're stupid because they don't realize the animal is going to attack them because that's what their job is. There is to find food for themselves to live, and this human is dumb enough to walk into the cage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's examples of things like that where it's like, oh, I want to help, but I have no idea what I'm doing, so I'm going to make it worse.
Yeah.
Because it's not actually helping. You're just trying to do it to fulfill yourself.
Yeah, you're right. You're under mind control.
So it's
literally under
right.
mind control of this control, this facade mechanism that goes right back to self-worth, tied into, if I help just enough people, then I'll be more worthy. Yeah. So I have more work to do. There's no question. I have the deeper work to do. To me, this is useful. Mark Passio's work. I'm also reading Manly P. Hall right now. I really like his work, but I am reading it now from a place of not taking it all in like I did with L. Ron Hubbard's work in Scientology. It was like, he's the source and this is the source, and if that's not written, it sounds like if you disagree with it, then there's something wrong with you. Like, whoa, okay, but that was my thinking at that time, because that was the mind control. And talk about something that is set up as massive control structure and mechanism there. I think that's the one good thing I did, was make sure you guys did not fall into that brainwashing. And I hate to say it, because I was all in on the opposite of like, oh, who would say brainwash? Like, oh my gosh, it's mind control. It's absolute mind control.
Yeah.
We just need, more thinkers, and then taking the right action.
Yeah.
And then also, so for me, episode 2 is all about the brain health, and I am a big proponent of that, especially after Dax's brain injury. It's you have to have a healthy brain, and there are ways to do it. I'm a big fan of eating wild caught salmon. I know, being a vegetarian and not eating sentient beings, I get it. But I think the essential fatty acids are so crucial. And then just not having sugar, because in any form, really, it's so hard. And I love my sugar, but it's just not good. It doesn't help the brain.
That's one thing that's nice though, is about, at least for me, is I've understood more like, I feel like crap after I have a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
Like whole sugars, like, natural things sometimes, like organic stuff is okay sometimes, but a lot of sweet stuff is unless it's like quote unquote healthier.
I think the sugar and our whole culture is around sugar. It's just like, I know your dad hates when I say that it's poison, but wow. And when I'm talking sugar, I'm talking all the sugar forms. Fruit is one thing. Whole fruit, if you're eating a whole apple or whole berries, there's other things besides the sugars in there, the fructose in there. But I wouldn't overdo it on the fruit either. But any spectrum, if you have sugar in your house in any form, candy bars, all of that, the best thing you could do for yourself and your children is to get rid of the sugar. And it may take a while to because it's, holy crap, it's addictive, and your brain will want it, and but once you clear it out, you're going to see so many things clear up, and you'll just function so much better. It's a tough one though. I get it. I've been there. All right.
Yes.
Episode 3 next week.
We can do probably 3 and 4. I mean, I'm about halfway done with episode 3 already.
Okay, awesome. So I mean, the whole purpose is so that you can talk. I'm going to have my percentage of talking be like 30%.
I don't need to talk a lot.
I want you to tell me your viewpoints on it. And
but I don't also need a lot of voice for that.
Is this useful? Then we could do shorter. Okay, so we'll do 3 and 4 in that 1 hour. And it's also like, what's useful about this? To me, this episode was really useful. Great reminders, because I'm in the health field. That is such super important reminders. and then just really understanding how the physiological structure is so key to the outcome of what goes on in your life.
Absolutely.
I'll call you. I'm going to call you in a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.